some questions. I need to understand this. Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Keisha King Show. I think it's time for us to have a heart-to-heart about what's going on in our country. So, for the last, I don't know, I guess 7 years, it has been really, really destructive. The left has really shown their colors. They have come out and basically said, parents, you are nothing. We want your kids. We will let the LGBTQ community do whatever to kids. We will not we will not follow the law, but we will let them literally come after your kids. We will let teachers who are crazy come after your kids. We have really seen this spiritual war uptick, and it feels like the enemy is on full display because he is. So let me just first start out by saying I voted for Donald Trump in 2020. Many of you guys know my story. 2017, I was lefty, had a big epiphany. God told me that my skin color had become an idol in my life. Went down that journey. I started working in politics, volunteering work for the RNC in 2020. I have been, called all types of names, being a conservative, particularly a Black conservative, because, you're not allowed to do that. Was lunged at by a grown man because I was wearing a Black Voices for Trump shirt. And so, I honestly feel like I have earned the right to say what I need to say. And criticism is what I have gotten for years now. So it's not, it's like whatever, because if you can't hear my heart and you're not willing to listen, then what's the point? But in my mind, and maybe you guys feel differently, the only question that needs to be asked is who can win in the general? That's the only question that we need to ask. Who can win in the general election? If we can't win in the general election, it doesn't matter who wins in the primary. Doesn't matter. That person needs to be able to win the general election. And I'm just not sure if that person is Donald Trump. Maybe he is. I'm just saying I'm not sure. Now, go ahead with you're a rhino, you're paid. Listen, at this point in my life, I could use an extra check. I'm not getting paid by anybody, all right? So whatever. And I'm not one of the ones that went and made a ton of money off of Donald Trump also. Okay, so let that be clear. I truly, genuinely, what I need, not what I want, what I need to happen is for my country to be set up in the best way so that my children and your children and your grandchildren have the best place for them to live in. I don't care about anything else. Okay, I don't have some crazy, loyalty to Trump or some crazy loyalty to DeSantis, even though DeSantis, I live in Florida. I benefited hugely from all of the things that DeSantis did. I am honored to have worked with him. I am honored to have, for all of the things that he's done. Casey, his wife, they are, to me, in my opinion, with my experiences with them, phenomenal people, phenomenal, hands down. When DeSantis says he's going to do something, he does it. My little old channel, little old me, I asked him, oh, Governor, can I get you on my show? I get a call out of the blue from his office. We owe you a show. We owe you an interview, don't we? That's the type of man he is. However, if he's not above criticism, because I believe that DeSantis understands that he works for me. He works for my family. This is a service job. He's a service kind of guy. He served in the military, and he's done a phenomenal job. On the other hand, we have Donald Trump, and I'm talking about Trump and DeSantis right now because they are the two front runners. And we're going to get into the summit where we had Vivek, DeSantis, Tim Scott, Asa Hutchinson, and Mike Pence. So it was a town hall type thing, and they spoke. We'll get into that because it's important. There were some points that I think are really important that I think you guys need to hear. But the front runners are Trump and DeSantis, right? Trump, you cannot deny, 100%. He is responsible for the judges that got Roe overturned. He is responsible for the Abrahamic Accords. He is responsible for um, the exposing of this administrative state, the elites, how the Republicans and the Democrats were in collusion. That is Donald John Trump. Can't deny it. Cannot. He is responsible for shining the light about the border situation and attempting to get the wall. Parts of a wall that we did, parts of a wall that we did get. He is responsible for the same judges who got rid of affirmative action. You cannot deny the charisma, the alpha male, the fortitude, the attitude, the humor of Donald John Trump. You cannot deny anybody who tries to. You are fooling yourself. Here's the issue. And if Donald Trump wins the primary, I'm voting for him. Hands down. I will gladly vote for him. I'm going to gladly work on his campaign any way that I can. I'm going to gladly support Donald Trump as a candidate if he wins. 100%. Donald Trump is a civil servant. He works for you. Like it's just I understand having that. You want to support and be loyal to the person who has been fighting for you. I have loyalty to both because of DeSantis and Trump. I live in Florida. I have watched and worked alongside DeSantis in, when he was stopping all this crazy stuff going after our children. I have worked alongside, not as close, but certainly have worked alongside Trump in working on the campaign and supporting him in, all of the stuff that he was doing for America, which includes my children, which includes me. And I totally get, I feel, I have a sense of loyalty to both. So when I see people who seem to have lost the meaning of America, where they're like, Trump is the only one, or he alone can save us, or, where they start this elevation of like to a level of God-like, to a level of Savior-like, that makes me extremely uncomfortable. And I think we need to be careful and make sure we check ourselves and make sure that you don't let that become an idol. You don't let anyone become an idol and maybe I'm sensitive to this because, God had to check me. Your skin color has become an idol in your life. There are a lot of things that could be an idol. Don't let a person become an idol to you either. Because truth be told, there is only one Savior, and he died on a cross, went to the grave, and resurrected himself from that grave. That is the Christ, Yeshua. Only one. Don't get it twisted. And this republic that we live in, that is supposed to that exist because there were people who wanted to, who use their aristocracy or their elitism and all of their power to force people to do their will. And there was no question to be asked. There was no criticism to be had to those leaders. The reason this nation exists, the reason 1776 exists, because there was a group of people that said, no, we're not going to do that. We want to establish a government that is of the people, for the people, by the people. Don't forget that. These politicians work for you. They work for you. And the moment, I don't care who it is, it could be Keisha King, it could be DeSantis, it could be Donald Trump, it could be whomever. The founding fathers knew that absolute power corrupts absolutely. I don't care who you are. There is a human nature, the fallen human nature that we have to, if somebody gets a lot of power, that we abuse it. And that's what I'm trying to say to y'all who seem to be kind of going in this way, that he has, he's earned this, it's his turn. We don't function like that. Be careful. Be careful of who I see this all the time on the right, where we have these people that we want to groom, and we say it's their time, it is their, this is for them, when it's not their time, because they are groomed into doing things in a way that the people don't want. They have made their allegiance with people who are not on the side of the citizens. When you do that as Republicans, you will lose. I just saw it happen here in Florida, in Jacksonville, Florida. The candidate that they pushed was an establishment candidate. The Democrat won. They didn't want to even consider the other two candidates who were not establishment. That's what I'm trying to tell y'all. This thing will backfire on you when you start to lift up just that there is only one possibility and you're not considering the main goal, and that's the general. I think you need to consider that. And I'm sorry, it's not good enough for Trump to have not fired Fauci when he literally promised to get rid of the deep state, and for us not to have any questions. It's not good enough for him to keep pushing this clot shot when we know that there are people that have some serious, that have had some, a lot of fatalities. There's been deaths. And Tim Pool was trying to say that, there are people who are talking about, vaccines now. They've never had any problems with vaccine. Okay, first of all, Tim, you don't have children, and I do. And I know a lot of parents who have had questions about vaccines for a very long time. And just because we're not the expert and doctors, I guess that's what you're trying to say, that we shouldn't have questions, miss me with that. There are a lot of people that have had questions about the vaccine. And just because, when you give it to a lot of people, of course, there's going to be a lot of vaccine injuries. No, because back in the day, before this warp speed was introduced, when we used to come up with this kind of stuff, at least there was some type, and that can even be questioned now too. But there was at least some type of, they would stop vaccines if there were injuries of more than, I think it was 10. Not deaths, just injuries. Now, I've read that a long time ago. It's not fresh in my mind, but it was under 20. Let's just say that. And I think we can all agree that there's been vaccine injuries more than 20 with this supposed vaccine. Okay. So we have a right to question that. And he hasn't even bothered to say, maybe it wasn't such a good idea. I was going with the information that I had at the time. And maybe hindsight is 2020. We can't even get that. That's a problem for me. I can understand. I was going with the information that I had at the time. This is what I was told. I apologize. I wish I could turn something. There's nothing. He keeps pushing it up like this is something to revere. Then we had Charlie Kirk on Patrick Bet-David. Oh, he's earning the nomination. Trump said he's not going to do debates. He didn't show up to this family leadership summit, and they said that there was a schedule conflict. I mean, okay, when everybody else is showing up, you need to show up too. You have to earn our vote. I'm just not one of those people who, now I will vote for Trump, but I'm just not one of those people who say, just because you're Trump, that I'm supposed to vote for you. I got some serious questions that you need to answer because you work for me. Don't forget. It's just a fact. That's how we work in this country. We cannot forget that. As much respect as I have for Donald Trump, even with the problems that I do have, because there is no perfect candidate. None. Zero. I have the right, literally, as an American citizen, because that's how we work, to ask questions. Not only did he not get rid of the swamp, he was hiring the swamp. I'm just saying, this was the ultimate kicker for me. You say that DeSantis was worse on COVID than Cuomo, who literally moved elderly people into nursing homes, and they died. and Disney. Now, DeSantis, they can say what they want to say, but when Disney said that they were going to use their lobbying power, they were going to use that power to to put more explicit materials and to stop bills that said we were not going to trans our children and that gender ideology did not need to be in front of children. Now, if you're okay with that, I got some serious questions. But Trump was saying that DeSantis was being too harsh with Disney about the kids. And he also said that Caitlyn Jenner could go into women's bathrooms. I'm sorry. Don't ask me, where my loyalty lies between my children and either one of these candidates, because I'm always going to pick my children. Let me know what you think about what I think. Put it in the comment section below, and then we can have the discussion. I will see you next time. Bye-bye.